You're rereading a text you sent 5 minutes ago. Not the words, the tone. That's not overthinking. That's your brain guarding against something it treats like a real threat. Here's why. Somewhere along the way, you started treating "did that come across wrong?" as an emergency. Not a mild worry, an actual emergency. You reread the message. You picture the other person's face while they read it. You wonder if "sounds good" landed as cold, if the joke landed as sarcasm, if that half-second pause before they replied meant something. Look, this isn't vanity, and it's not insecurity either, at least not the way people usually mean that word. Here's what actually happens in your brain when you feel misunderstood, and it's not what you'd expect. Researchers Sylvia Morelli, Jared Torre, and Naomi Eisenberger put people in a brain scanner. They deliberately made them feel understood, then not understood. Feeling understood lit up the reward circuitry, the same regions that respond to things like food, money, connection. Feeling misunderstood activated the anterior insula. That's the region tied to physical pain and threat. So when someone misreads you, your brain doesn't file it under annoying, it files it under danger. Same network that responds to actual harm. Think about that. That's the part almost nobody tells you. You're not overreacting when a small misunderstanding wrecks your whole afternoon. Your nervous system is responding the way it would to something genuinely unsafe, which, okay, weird as it sounds, makes complete sense once you know what's underneath it. There's a second layer to this. For a lot of people, feeling understood isn't just pleasant, it's proof. Proof that the version of yourself you carry around in your head actually exists outside of it too. Psychologists have a name for this: self-verification. You need other people to see you the way you see yourself, or the whole picture starts to feel unstable. Not fake, exactly, just unconfirmed. And that need usually didn't start in adulthood. Maybe you were the kid who explained a joke and got told, "It's not that deep." Maybe you tried to describe exactly how something felt and got a shrug, or worse, got told you were being dramatic. Enough of those, early enough, and your brain draws a simple conclusion. Explaining yourself clearly doesn't guarantee anything. People will still get it wrong. So you'd better explain harder, earlier, and with more backup next time. That's not a personality flaw. That's a strategy that used to make sense. There's another layer that makes this worse if you're the kind of person who naturally notices things. You're good at reading tone and subtext, the gap between what someone says and what they actually mean, which means you don't get to assume everyone else reads you the same way. You know exactly how much can hide behind a flat reply. So when you send something and get an answer that misses the point, you don't just feel unheard, you feel like the one skill you're actually good at just failed you. On yourself, of all people. That's the cruel part. The same radar that makes you good at catching what other people mean is the one thing that won't stop scanning your own words for how they might land. And it's exhausting, in a very specific, quiet way. Nothing dramatic happens. You just spend 40 minutes replaying one work chat message. By the time you're done, you're wrung out from an event that, from the outside, never actually occurred. You're at a party now, years later. Someone asks what you do. You give the honest, slightly complicated answer. They nod, say something back that tells you they heard the short version, not the real one. And something in you deflates a little. Not because they were rude, because the mirror missed. Again. So you adjust. You start writing messages twice. You rehearse conversations before they even happen, running through what you'll say and how it might land. You add extra context nobody asked for, just in case. You've probably felt this. Typing a sentence, deleting it, writing a longer, more careful version, and still not sending it for another 10 minutes. Sound familiar? And it's not just texting. Some people take this further without even noticing. Extra emojis to soften a message. A haha tacked on so a comment doesn't read as harsh. A whole sentence added just to clarify tone that was never actually in question. Researchers studying online communication found this exact pattern in people with higher social anxiety. More disambiguating, more over-explaining, more little verbal safety nets. All of it aimed at one thing: making sure the words can't be taken the wrong way. It shows up at work, too. You send an email, then immediately open the team chat to check if it landed okay. Someone gives short, neutral feedback on a project, and you spend the rest of the day quietly rewriting the conversation in your head, hunting for the real meaning underneath the neutral one. 9 times out of 10, there wasn't one. But your brain doesn't believe that until it's checked at least 4 times. 4 times. Over one flat sentence. And this hits hardest with the people closest to you, not strangers. A partner who says, "You're overreacting," during an argument, when what you actually needed was for them to hear the specific thing underneath the reaction. A friend who jokes about something you said in confidence, missing that it wasn't a joke to you at all. Being misunderstood by someone who barely knows you stings for an hour. Being misunderstood by someone who's supposed to know you can sit there for days, right? So what actually helps isn't stop caring what people think, because that advice never works for people like you. The real fix is precision, not control. Naming the specific feeling. I'm worried this reads as dismissive, instead of just spiraling in vague dread, takes the charge out of it. Researchers who study emotional labeling have found that putting an accurate word on a feeling calms the exact brain regions that flare up when the feeling stays formless. You don't need to over-explain the message. You need to get precise about what you're actually afraid it says. That's it. That's the whole fix. But here's where it gets weird. The more you edit and re-edit to avoid being misread, the more misread you actually become. Over-explained messages read as guarded. Rehearsed conversations come out stiff instead of natural. You're working overtime to be understood, and the effort itself is what makes you harder to read. That's the trap. Trying to control how you're received ends up costing you the very thing you wanted in the first place. Or, if you've got one of those moments, the one time being misread actually changed something for you, drop it below. No pressure, just curious. And let's be honest, there's a real cost to this over time. People who chronically edit themselves, who learn early that saying things plainly leads to being misread, start doing it less. They soften their opinions. They simplify what they actually feel until it's easier for other people to swallow. Research tracking emotional suppression over time found something bleak. People who habitually hold back form fewer close friendships. They report less social support and more negative affect overall, month after month. It's not that suppression protects you from being misunderstood, it just quietly disconnects you from the people who might actually get it. There's a version of this that shows up as pure exhaustion too. Perceived stress goes up. Life satisfaction goes down. Even your cortisol pattern shifts, flattening out in a way that's linked to chronic stress for people who regularly feel misunderstood by the people closest to them. Your body keeps score long after the conversation is over. Now, this is the part that's harder to talk about. A lot of that editing and rehearsing isn't really about the other person at all. It's about you needing to feel like a coherent, understandable person to yourself, and outsourcing that job to how everyone else reacts. Which means every flat reaction, every, "Oh, cool," every reply that misses the point, quietly registers as evidence against you. Not because it is, because your nervous system is treating a stranger's reading comprehension as a referendum on whether you make sense. And this is the part worth sitting with. The same wiring that makes misunderstanding feel like a small crisis is the exact same wiring that makes you good at understanding other people. You notice tone before words. You catch the gap between what someone says and what they actually mean. You remember the version of a conversation that got missed the first time, even when nobody else does. That sensitivity isn't a flaw sitting next to your strengths. It's the same trait, just pointed in 2 directions at once. So the goal was never to stop caring whether people get you. It's to stop trying to force it through more words, more editing, more rehearsal. Say the true thing once. Let it land however it lands. The people who actually see you were never going to need the extra paragraph anyway. You're not too sensitive. You're just wired to need the mirror to actually reflect you back accurately. And that's not a weakness. That's just what it costs to be someone who pays this much attention. If this resonated, that's pretty much what this whole channel is. Why you are the way you are.